Fuck cancer. Fuck cancer with a 10-inch large AIDS infested dick. Fuck cancer so hard, so bad, and wicked bad. This is Whacked Out Wrestling. Hello, everybody, and sometimes we would try and make us a fun opening for things like this, but this week of wrestling is just too serious to be fun about. As we know on this one, the wrestling world has been in shock from the news that Roman Reigns, aka Leate Joseph Anoa'i Jr., has announced that he had a recurrence of his battle with leukemia and he's taking time off to heal and hopefully get better. Everybody in the wrestling world is fighting along your side and hoping for the best here. And we here at Whacked Out Wrestling are no exception. The only thing that could be worse than hearing this news would be hearing this news live. Wait, Raw was in Providence, Rhode Island. Shit, I actually did hear this news live. Aw, shit. But as always, I'm Thomas S.K. Green, and with us is Joey the Caveman and John Roche.
How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Mm-hmm. And go on, Joey.
No, go ahead.
No, you can go.
It's a total shocker, and it's amazing that in the present day internet age that you get hit with a surprise like this. I did love the fact that the fans did respect Roman/Joe Anoa'i and did cheer for him and did put their petty BS aside. I'm rooting for him, and I hope he comes back. I think he beat it once before. There's no reason why he can't beat it again. And best of luck. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. That was the thing that made it the most weird just in the live one, where you saw that when it started, the fans were booing Roman Reigns, and it was just so hard when I was in the same section with fans who were Roman fans, and I had to explain this is why the fans boo Roman Reigns usually and explain it. And then this segment kept going, and then, oh fuck, he has cancer, and people were in shock. And may I say, respectful on this one. At least one person said, "You still suck," and kept booing Roman to that cancer. To that I say, fuck you so hard. I am ashamed for my city and my state that you would do this. I remind you that Rhode Island is a very small state. You can get anywhere in this state in 30 minutes. I'm hoping if we find out who the hell you are, someone from this state comes and beats the shit out of you for saying stuff like that. There is stuff that is not worth that. I don't care if you didn't like his character on these things or you wanted your platonic ideal as the face of the company. No one deserves cancer. Nobody. So fuck that guy. Fuck him hard.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like the guy that when on an indie show that did a tribute to Eddie Guerrero, and the guy yelled out during a moment of silence, "Fuck that!" And then I heard like some of the wrestlers actually beat the shit out of that guy.
I would not be surprised if the wrestlers did beat the shit out of him, but that's one of the problems where there's some things you just don't do. Like it would be said like it would be said in cases like that. There's cases where a battle like this is something where everybody's on the side of. Whether you liked Roman Reigns as a performer or not, cancer is a battle that you have to cheer him on for. And if you think that it went through on this one, if this guy did it to be a smart, you're not a smart, you're just an asshole. If you did it to be funny, it was not funny. If you did it to be this moment, I can assure you that if you keep going the way you're going, no one will ever remember you when you die.
Is that the truth? All I know is when Roman finally comes back, I hope he gets the biggest babyface pop of all time. Yes, even bigger than Hogan in the 80s. Even bigger than Austin in the 90s.
I actually remember that sort of reminds me in I do remember when Angle came back in 2003. After his big neck surgery or vertebrae surgery, he actually, I think, got a face pop from that.
Yeah.
Even though he had left as a heel, I think. But yeah, I saw the video of it backstage, after Reigns had made his announcement and everyone was offering their support. It was it was actually that's the thing. At the end of the day, these are ordinary people doing and they're all like you said, they're all on the same team, face, heel, tweener, whatever. At the end of the day, they're all working for the same company, and something that happens to one of them in a way affects all of them. And
yes. And that's really the thing, because when you're on the road together with each other 300 days a year, that's like your second family right there. So this is like seeing one of your family get stricken down. And it's even worse on the other one, because later on the family didn't catch a break as Samu Anoa'i Jr. or Roman's father announced he has stage 4 liver cancer, which is even worse.
That is Samu, the head shrinkers, right? Fatu's tag partner?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, man.
And stage 4 is bad because that means it's terminal.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but he'll probably be in hospice and probably be one of the first to die in 2019.
Jeez.
Yes, unfortunately.
But Fatu spoke out about any of this?
I don't know on this one, but it's been a really rough couple years for that of the Anoa'i family, because you have Samu, who's got the father of that one with cancer. You've got Roman with cancer, and last year you had his brother Rosie of 3 Minute Warning pass away. So
I thought Rosie passed away a few years ago.
It was recently, I believe so.
April 17th, 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was last year.
Okay. Has The Rock spoke out about this?
Yeah. But it definitely is basically sent a pall over the whole week on it, because again, this is the one plus if he does fight back, is that you could imagine amazing comebacks, because we saw that Kenta Kobashi came back from cancer, and it was about 18 months after he did, and that he was able to get back. I believe Scotty 2 Hotty was able to come back 18 months after a cancer scare himself.
Hello.
Even on the indie scene, people have come back from cancer relatively quickly. Like, I believe Lufisto announced she had cancer earlier this year, and she's already back on the indie scene, on the regular scene now. So depending on how far quickly they catch it, it could even be very quick.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, my mic was coming in and out. I was just gonna ask, did The Rock speak out any at all? He had to have, right?
Oh, what?
Hello?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear me ask the question?
I didn't know.
He was asking whether The Rock said anything about.
I don't know if The Rock has said anything yet, but pretty much everybody in wrestling that you think of has said something on it. So
it'll be a matter of time.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Fleck?
Yeah.
Tommy?
Yeah, I can.
Do I sound clear or?
Yeah, you sound clear.
Tommy, do I sound clear on your end?
Yeah, you sound clear on my end. So
okay. Just making sure. I thought I had some mic problems, but I guess not. So, do we have any idea what kind of a timetable we're looking at, or is it a year?
What? You seem to fade out there.
Like the timetable for
Roman Reigns. Do we have any timetable at all? Like a year, 2 years, 6 months?
That's the problem, because every cancer diagnosis is different, and the fact that this is his second battle with cancer could make it more different on this. And the fact that it is realistic that he could die of this is always a problem on this one. But like I said, the most realistic ones it seemed like were Kobashi and Scotty 2 Hotty getting back to that level in 18 months. So.
Right, and Roman looks healthy. I mean, he beat it before. I don't see no reason why he can't beat it again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure he could. Like I'm sure that he could beat it.
Yeah,
but you're not gonna know until.
Yeah.
Like he has to go through the treatment. He has to. I don't know if there's like I don't know if he'd have to go through surgery or if it's just like medication or chemo.
What organs have been hit? Do we know that at least?
It's leukemia, so it's a blood cancer on this one. So
right, but do we know what organ?
It'll be bone marrow and it's for the most part is the biggest effect that would go for it. And that also is another thing to keep in mind for people who may be listening. BeTheMatch.org. If you're a wrestling fan on this one and want to show your support on this one, sign up for the registry and see about donating bone marrow in that instance. If from what I'd seen, if I were to on it, I couldn't personally do it because due to different health issues on my side, but if I could, I would have signed up on the match myself, and I implore any fans of it to do so.
All right, can you mail a donation?
You can mail money as a donation.
Yeah, like
okay.
I don't think you could
mail bone marrow.
Yeah, because I mean, I know it would probably like qualify as like potentially hazardous materials if you tried to do that.
Yeah, considering what's going on in the news, that would not be smart.
Yeah. Well, as long as you don't send blood to Democrats, you should be fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. But yep.
So in other news, now we're hearing Cena and Danielson might not do Crown Jewel. So who's going to take over Cena's spot for the?
Honestly, that's going to be a big question, because what do you do in this case? Because they just announced today that the WWE is honoring their contract and going to Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel. So that is in the play. But all signs say John Cena is gone and Daniel Bryan probably is also gone. Which
are they injured or they just refuse to go?
I believe that WWE has always had a standing offer going back to Tribute to the Troops, where if they go into a controversial show like this or into a war zone, the talent has the right to refuse to go. So
okay. So how about the Big Show replacing him?
Honestly, I don't know on that one, but it would be a question mark, because I would say the biggest question is if that would be enough for him, because there seems to be a lot of, we demanded this person, and this person. Remember the Hiroki Sumi situation from Greatest Royal Rumble. If the Saudis want someone, they will get them.
Don't tell me they're going to kidnap Cena and force him to perform.
No clue, but considering that Hiroki Sumi, by and large, was the result of the Saudi prince demanded, we want Yokozuna on this show, and even being told Yokozuna is dead, they would not refuse. They ended up getting Yokozuna.
What? How?
Because Hiroki Sumi is a current sumo wrestler on it, so they just hired some random sumo guy to show up in the Rumble.
So he came out to Yokozuna's theme. They were playing it off like he was really Yokozuna?
No, they didn't play it off like he was Yokozuna, but the guy wanted Yokozuna, so he got some random sumo wrestler.
Oh. So, with the news with Roman Reigns, I'm thinking we're probably going to push a rocket to Braun Strowman and push him to the moon. Am I safe to assume this?
I'd assume so, just because of the fact that we know he's probably going to be the next world champion. They turned him face tonight and basically said, and that was also another thing that was a poll on it, because it was basically saying, yeah, you know as well as I do why we're saying that the last 2 months with the Dogs of War never happened, so run with it. And by and large, people can run with it.
I see Hogan, Goldberg, Austin levels of potential for Braun Strowman as the #1 face and champion. I think they could tie a rocket to him, and he's going to be huge.
Well, the big problem is that if they push the button last year and they pulled the trigger, then he probably would be huge in that instance. But I think that the fact that they really just wasted him for the last year and he fell into he's just there, does something really strong and repeat, and then this heel turn really hurt matters for it.
Then dare I say it? I mean, would you dare I say it? Have him beat Brock in like 1 minute, like Goldberg did.
That would be very, very viable on it, because
that's how you get his momentum back.
We know Lesnar's not going to win the title because he's there on a one-off for Saudi money, and he's basically going to the UFC, but he's just getting Saudi money to go there.
Braun beats him in a minute, boom, there's his momentum again.
Yeah. Because that's really the biggest problem that happened right now. It's because on a booking scale, WWE put all their eggs into the Roman basket for years, and now they just found out the hard way. You can't put all your eggs into one basket, because what if something unthinkable like this happens? And now the biggest problem is there's no hot hand anymore. There's no hot hands on Raw. No one with any momentum to speak of. So on Raw. On SmackDown, there's no one with any momentum. The closest thing they had was Rusev, and he's pretty much lost his fizz by now as well. Heck, even on NXT, there's no momentum to speak of. It says something with a bad thing, where if you're going with who has the most momentum, who's the hot hand on the show, give that person the Universal title, we'd be looking at Universal Champion Becky Lynch. And that is sad.
Yeah. Dare I say, do you give CM Punk a call? Do you even try to go there? Dare I ask?
I don't think CM Punk would respond to that one. CM Punk seems to be, I'm retired, I'm done, I'm out of it. And even if he was willing to entertain the thought in an indie scene, which, given that All In made it clear they wanted him and it was in his area, he said, nope, I'm not interested. That's just the indie scene. In WWE, not only do I think he's out of the Hall of Fame, I'm pretty sure that CM Punk seems to be the type of guy who'd do a 1972 U.S. Olympic team and put in his will, none of my descendants can accept an induction into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Did Martha Hart do that with Owen?
I wouldn't be surprised if Martha Hart did or so, but it seems like it's a question mark there.
Okay, part 2 to the question. Mm-hmm. Do we know if Kenny Omega signed for 1 or 2 years? Now, you're talking about no hot hands. Do you throw a boatload of money at Kenny right now, or even, dare I say it, Hiroshi Tanahashi?
Honestly, once this happened on Monday, the sound you heard was Vince McMahon or whoever his Japanese scout is going to Cody, the Young Bucks, and Omega with a blank check each and saying, write whatever number you want on this. We'll double it.
It's going to be very interesting. I don't know if Kenny saw. That's the thing, though. I don't know if Kenny saw. I thought I heard that Kenny signed for actually 2 years and he won't be free till 2020, but I'm unsure.
Well, I think they signed for 2 years in 2017. So
okay.
But even if, that's still a question mark, because in all 3 of those cases, there's something that would be keeping them. For the Young Bucks, it's the fact that they're some shrewd businessmen, and WWE's shrewd businessmen, and they both know the money it would take to get the Young Bucks can never possibly equal the amount of money the Young Bucks are worth to WWE.
And with all due respect to the Young Bucks, I think they might be better off on the indie scene because I just think I hate to say it, but I think they'd get lost in the shuffle with the WWE. Look at how they've been tagged
on it. It's the fact that at the end of the day, the Young Bucks are a tag team and WWE doesn't build around tag teams. That's all it is. There'd be big matches with the New Day, and both the Young Bucks and Revival have been begging for that match. So there's big matches, but at the end of the day, they're a tag team. There's nothing for tag teams. Right. With Cody, it's basically the fact that he bet on himself and he's clearly won. And you know Cody's saying, I'm not going back to WWE unless you put a guaranteed world title ring in this. If I go back, I want to be a main eventer.
Yeah, I'd be afraid that Cody would wind up right back in the same path, and then he'd be kicking himself in the foot, and everyone would be bitching. It would be just like when Matt Hardy had that Angelico Diablo thing going on a long while back, and he went back to WWE, and all that came about it was he was right back in the same spot. I think if Cody went back, it would be the same thing, which leaves Kenny Omega.
And that's really the other part, because for Kenny Omega, he's the type of dude who clearly values his quality of life more than anything. And that goes to the question, think of the worst job you ever had in your life. Then think of your favorite job ever and the job that made you happy to go to work every day. What amount of money in the world would it take you to leave that favorite job to go back to the job you hated the most?
To be fair, though, Kenny Omega did say that he wants to when he leaves New Japan, if he leaves New Japan, he wants to leave where he doesn't feel like he's betraying them or leaving a gaping hole. And then I remember an interview where he said most of the guys he dreamed of working with were now in NXT. But I think that interview might have even been from like 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
So it's not like that there isn't the possibility, but I'm thinking out of those guys, I'm thinking they want Kenny the most because he would be the closest thing to a hot hand.
Mm-hmm.
You could get, you could get all the all-in guys. You could get the Bucks. You could get Cody. You can get Kenny. You could, dare I say it, maybe even float a line to Hangman Page, who was rumored to be on the WWE's radar, and maybe even Kota Ibushi, and you could do some kind of angle like they did back in 2000 with Benoit, Saturn, Malenko, and Guerrero, the Radicals. You could do something like that, have them sit in the crowd.
Yeah, but there's also the case where, at the same time, just thinking an angle like that wouldn't work because they had Finn Balor, they had AJ Styles, they had Gallows and Anderson, so they had enough of the Bullet Club they could do the same thing, and it just didn't take.
Well, I'm thinking Gallows and Anderson and Nakamura wind up going back to New Japan. I told you, I think I mentioned my prediction for Nakamura on the show.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it, like I said, even with them, I think that there's a chance, but by all signs and purposes, Carl Anderson left New Japan because he really wanted to stay stateside on it. And with Luke Gallows, they thought he was a great prospect, but upon further review, they found out he was Luke Gallows.
Wasn't he in that one match with, wasn't he in like some match with, I think, Sylvester Terkay, where Inoki actually like came down to the ring and called bullshit on the whole thing?
Yeah, that was for Inoki Genome Foundation. Yeah, Inoki came out, was like, this is bullshit, we're canceling the match. Yes, that happened in Japan. And Sylvester Terkay, there's a name I haven't heard for a long time. I remember him being managed by Elijah Burke, and I remember him working a quasi-MMA style. I think his match was against Matt Hardy, and I thought he did pretty good. I just wonder why he fizzled out like he did. I think he had potential.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because he had MMA training. He was good enough as an amateur wrestler. He was Kurt Angle's rival in college, so...
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think that Terkay might have been 10 years too soon, because now we're seeing in the modern era, once MMA has become big, almost every person who's come from the MMA world has been amazing at wrestling.
I knew that was going to happen. I mean, I was telling people this back in like 04, 05, and everyone was looking at me sideways. I knew it was happening back then, and well, here we are.
Yeah, and now we're seeing it pretty much as well, because Matt Riddle's become awesome as a wrestler. Ronda Rousey's picked it up quicker than anybody had any right to pick it up for.
Ronda Rousey was a huge wrestling fan before an MMA fighter, so you knew she knew her shit.
Even people like Sonya Deville, who didn't have much of an MMA record to speak of, but did work MMA, she's still one of the most improved wrestlers on the roster right now. So
right,
you've got proof that MMA backgrounds work very well for pro wrestling.
Absolutely. I mean, to quote James Ellsworth, well, duh.
Yep. But that was still some of the parts where everything on the show was just a pallor based on the Roman stuff. Braun's face turn made sense as just a mulligan, because they basically said, yeah, we need a top face. Braun's our closest guy for 5 minutes. Do this.
They turned him face last week, though.
Yeah. No, last week it looked like Drew McIntyre was the one who was going to turn face, but they suddenly decided, nope, Braun's the face now. So that was basically similar to that 2000 moment where they had Benoit win with Sid's under the ropes, and you knew it was supposed to be done to set up future storylines with Sid Vicious versus Chris Benoit, but the next night it was basically proof for why Chris Benoit was no longer the champion.
And the funny thing was, Sid actually, as a fuck you, was doing the crossface for a while as his finish after that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was that, and there were a lot of controversial moments from Raw, and for instance, the most controversial thing from it would be the fact that Undertaker and Kane did their promo with gravestones for Triple H and Shawn Michaels. And I've heard a lot of controversy on that, but I'll say that, honestly, I don't think it's controversial.
I was going to say.
Controversial with the Undertaker versus Eddie Guerrero feud in SmackDown versus Raw 2006 that came out after Eddie's death. Or Undertaker fighting Steve Austin at Over the Edge 99 and being the next champion after that for it. Because honestly, no one gives a flying fuck about Mean Mark Callis. People barely gave a fuck about the American Badass. If you want Undertaker on your show, you have to understand he's the Undertaker. You're gonna get death imagery from the Undertaker because, shit, it's the Undertaker. He's the dead man. He's wrestling's equivalent of the Grim Reaper. You can't get mad that you're getting death imagery because you knew you were getting death imagery from the Undertaker.
With that said, I mean, I hear people fondly remember American Badass lately, but yeah, I don't see why the tombstones would be offensive. Who was saying it was offensive?
Meltzer.
It was
yeah.
It was I mean, I could almost see like the timing was unfortunate, but I don't know. Like, you can only plan for so much there, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. And even then, I wasn't as offended by that one. I was far more offended live by the Susan G. Komen for the Cure segment after this.
Okay, why was that offensive? I want to hear this.
Because fuck Susan G. Komen. That's why it's offensive. You just lost your top star to cancer. Stop working with this fucking shitty charity that spends most of their money on overhead, and the money they don't spend on it, they use to spread awareness for, which is advertising. You want that stuff, I remind you, people still get breast cancer. People are still dying of breast cancer. Breast cancer is totally a thing. There, I just spread awareness of breast cancer for free. Fuck off, Susan G. Komen. Put your money on a charity that actually focuses on cancer research, and not that fake-ass Susan G. Komen wear a pink ribbon. It's a sisterhood in a battle, and everybody's there on this stuff, and focus on charities that do something. My personal favorite is the Jimmy Fund, which is a local one for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston, Massachusetts, that does great work. I've personally volunteered for them many times on it. I'm sure that John may know a charity in Pennsylvania or Virginia, and Joey may know a charity that does work in Florida that's similar on them. Right. Do charities that work. Fuck Komen. That is all.
Yeah.
Preach. And I mean, I heard like Stephanie was basically just doing this to manipulate people to do, make them say, oh, we're rich, but we do good things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fuck out of here with that shit.
Well, in defense, I will give the Stephanie tweet. There was the philanthropy is the future of marketing tweet, which she was quoting someone who made a tweet, who made a statement to that effect at a WrestleMania live thing that was for marketing in the new millennium. But
philanthropy should not be for marketing. Philanthropy should be because you believe in the cause. To just break down philanthropy as marketing is insane, and really it shows less of being
cynical
and generous, but more of being selfish. And pretty much philanthropy as marketing is masturbatory at its worst.
Yeah, and honestly, the one problem is that she's not wrong, but still, that's something you just don't say. Because if you say it, you're inherently saying that you can never trust any philanthropy you do again.
There were people that have been con artists claiming they're collecting for charity millions of times before. This isn't nothing new. It's just the level of it because there wasn't the internet back then like there is now.
Yeah. So it was still the problem on this one where if it was more offensive to me to keep going with Coleman than going with those ones. Because,
okay, when you put it like that, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Now I see where you're coming from with this.
Yeah. And that was still the same with most of the things on it, where people were also shocked that they did the Dean Ambrose turn tonight on this one. But at the same time, people knew Dean Ambrose was going to turn, and for the last year now, they knew eventually Ambrose was going to turn on Rollins. They knew that this was going to happen. It was obvious for the last few weeks he was going to turn on him. And from last week's Ambrose time joke, getting Ambrose to snap, that was basically like seeing this crazy person has already mentally decided that it's gone from people are joking around to they've all been making fun of you for all along, and they always have been. And you
when they won the belt. Sorry, continue.
Already turned on them in his heart, and it was just a matter of time before he did it. So you knew Ambrose was turning, and tonight was the weak point for massive damage because everybody knew it was happening, but not that night particular.
See, when I saw Ambrose winning and Rollins winning the tag titles, at first when I seen Braun running in, I thought on top of Braun doing an about face turn, I thought maybe, just maybe, they would somehow keep the Shield, except Braun would lead them, or dare I say it, rename them to the Dogs of War. So pretty much what I'm saying is, I thought Strowman would, be replace Roman Reigns in the Shield, and I honestly thought that they would forget about Ambrose and Rollins having problems because of what happened with Roman, and it would just go the way of the dodo. I was shocked that Ambrose turned heel that night. I mean, I knew the writing was on the wall, but I thought Roman Reigns and what happened there was gonna stop that. Also, I guess the tag titles will be vacated now, and I guess this is how we finally give the Revival the tag titles. I'm guessing the Revival will win the tag belts in a tournament of some sort.
Yeah, or the Revival or the Authors of Pain or one of the tag teams on it. Hell, give them to Bobby Roode and Chad Gable if you want, because that match they had with the Revival was very
nice
good.
Way of inverting their names.
Mm-hmm.
What about dare I say it? What about giving the B team back the belts and doing what they should did? B team Revival feud over the belts.
Honestly, I don't know, because I think the B team story has pretty much been told. So, and that's really it's the same thing as like Heath Slater and Rhino winning the SmackDown tag titles a couple years ago. It was a great moment. It was the perfect example of long-term booking paying off in a big way. You had Slater with his back against the wall winning the titles, but once they won the titles, his story had basically been told. You couldn't really do much more with it.
So maybe, dare I say it, the B team come back with Bray Wyatt.
That could be viable, but
not necessarily a new Wyatt family, but just you know, you have to do something when Bray comes back. You have to explain what happened with Matt Hardy, and, you know, why not have their tag rivals at the time join forces? I'm not saying main event material, but there's got to be something there. But then again, they'll probably just forget about it.
Well, the big problem on this one is that if you're going to have Wyatt family members, there's a reason Harper and Rowan worked well. And it's because those are two dudes you don't want to meet in a dark alley. And in particular, they looked like two big, angry hillbillies who you knew if you met these guys in a dark alley,
very good point.
Raped. There's no way around it. They're gonna make you squeal like a pig, and that works for the Wyatt family. Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel aren't like that. Those guys, they look big or so, but they don't look like somebody you'd be afraid of.
Honestly, when they were the B team and they were mocking Hardy and Wyatt, you know what they reminded me of? They reminded me of the 21 Jump Street movies. To me, they were acting like Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum in those movies. I liked how they were playing off each other, and honestly, I thought the B team would last longer than it did. I thought it was getting over pretty good.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it was getting over, but that's just was the example of they put all their eggs in the main event feud, and now it's hitting them the hard. And honestly, that's even with the star power. Like I had said on Violent Wrestling Podcast, if it was up to me, I'd be making a trade right now that would try and fix all the problems that are going on right now in one fell swoop. SmackDown, my trade would be
Bludgeon Brothers because Rowan's hurt.
No, my trade in theory would be Jinder Mahal, Bobby Roode, and Bray Wyatt, with some throw-ins like Apollo Crews, Chad Gable, and some women like Dana Brooke, Tamina, or some Mickey Ember Moon and Nia Jax. Go to SmackDown. Go to Raw, you get Randy Orton, Rusev and Lana, Absolution, and the Iconics. Boom. You give SmackDown 3 people who were main eventers who could get some upward mobility there, but Raw gets the biggest star they have who's full-time in Randy Orton, the closest thing to a hot hand they had in Rusev. And would you look at that? You just added the 2 tag teams on SmackDown and put them to Raw, so you have the perfect excuse for women's tag titles.
Very shrewd and very intriguing idea of a trade, Tommy. I like it.
Yeah.
Will you excuse me a minute? I got to go bleed the lizard. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and another thing that I sort of wanted to bring up because you had mentioned, because the subject of Cody had come up, apparently he is not going to be at the, he announced that he's not going to be at the big New Japan ROH G1 Supercard in the Garden.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it seems like a case where Cody's basically said that he's signed with WWE, and it makes sense because the fact there, but honestly, it would be shocking if that happened because, like I said, Cody is an example of someone who bet on himself and won. So if Cody signs with WWE, you know he kind of has to have gone with, I want a guaranteed world title reign in my contract.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it would be a good option on it. Heck, even from the success of All In, if they just said, okay, we're bringing you to NXT and we want to train you to be a backstage triple threat like your father was, that would also be viable to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's, like you said, like with all the success he's had in ROH and New Japan and All In, like there's, like, it'd have to be some kind of stupid assholes to just toss him in the undercard.
Well, the big problem on it was the fact that with Cody, it's weird because he's a great character on it, but there's always something tempering everything. He's clicked on the indie scene, but Cody's basically the Saturn of pro wrestlers. He's a very solid, unspectacular 2-star machine. He can put on a 2-star match with anybody on the independent scene, but he can also put on a 2-star match with anyone on the indie scene. he's a great star who's managed to do a lot for the Indies, but there seems to be less like Cody Rhodes has made the Indies so much better and more. Cody Rhodes got to be a big star because Bullet Club let him join. And Bullet Club's the one doing all this.
I'm back. I just heard, I just came in. I was hearing the talk about Cody. Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. Cody, the Bullet Club accepting Cody, I think it was a mutual thing, though. I think they both benefited each other, but I think Cody actually could have got over on the Indies without him, but with the Bullet Club officially letting him in, it just helped both parties.
Yeah. And I could see that a little bit, but even then, you had AJ Styles was more of a help on that one, and Cody is on the Indies as outside of the Bullet Club is basically, would basically be just, I'm a really handsome guy, I'm a good wrestler, and I'm better than you, or as a heel, which is perfectly straightforward and cromulent, but not exactly that much more amazing than anything else on the scene.
And yet, did he play babyface in Impact?
He played babyface, but he turned heel at the end of his Impact run, in large part because he turned heel on the indie scene. So,
right. And now Impact likes to keep it together, unlike back in their early days when they had Raven and CM Punk as teammates when they were feuding everywhere else.
Yeah, but that was also just because they were also needed to make their own storylines as well. So,
sort of a side note, what a stupid idea by Pop TV to put Impact at 10 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's also the rumors going on that the contract with Pop TV is ending at the end of the year, and Impact's shopping things around. So the 10 p.m. thing might be they're trying to phase them out. So.
And here I thought they were just going to 10 p.m. because they were going to try to be like 90s Raw.
Nope, I don't think that would work as much.
So they already tried having it booked by Russo, and obviously that didn't work.
Yeah, didn't we hear like "Fire Russo" chants?
Yeah, but the worst part of that is that even the "Fire Russo" chants from things like Sting versus Abyss, if you really knew the booking, that was totally a Dutch Mantel storyline on it.
Right.
And actually, I've always been steadfast that Vince Russo is the perfect booker for a rebuilding promotion.
You know what? Go ahead.
Well, consider it like this. If you're trying to rebuild a promotion and you're in a rebuilding year, there's 3 things you do, and they're all things that Russo does well. Step 1, give the roster an enema. Find all the people who are just people with draw value but have who aren't over, can't really wrestle, can't do much of anything anymore. They're here because they were stars in the past and they aren't there. Get rid of them quickly. Get them off your screen, pay them to stay home, fire them, get rid of them, make sure they are not on your show anymore. Step 2, build around the up-and-coming young talent on the mid-card scene. Make them stars. Keep going with that. Make your roster seem like you've got rising upward mobility and keep building around the talent that goes through. Step 3, remember the internet and keep it holy. Book to the smarks because they're the only people who are going to stick around while you're rebuilding. 4, keep doing this until someone catches fire, and when someone does, ride them all the way to the end zone.
Yep, that only worked in WWF. Didn't work in WCW. Didn't really work well on TNA/Impact.
Well, on the contrary for TNA Impact, the 2 best years of TNA Impact were 2003 with the TNA versus SEX angle, and 2008-09 with the main Frontline versus the Main Event Mafia. Both of those were the same storyline.
Okay. Good point. So, do we know for sure that Impact's contract run out with Pop? Do we know that for sure?
I don't know if we know for sure the contract's run out, but I know that they've said that the contract expires at the end of the year, and Impact has hired some new places to try and shop around the show.
Oh God, imagine if it somehow landed on like YTV in Canada and Nickelodeon.
It's not gonna end up on YTV in Canada. Remember, the Fight Network owns Impact, so they're not going to send it to YTV.
But it would be funny though.
Yep.
It'd be funny, like on like coming up on or even Nickelodeon, like coming up on Nickelodeon, a brand new episode of Henry Danger, followed by Impact.
Honestly, I could see it on this one.
Dude, Allie and Rosemary would be funny on Henry Danger.
Yep. Coming up, kids, it's Impact. Watch an evil ninja skeleton break someone's arms. And follow this by a woman showing up and claiming that all a woman can do is be hot and thinking everyone's hot shaming her. All this on Impact on Nickelodeon.
Oh, jeez. Dan Schneider could become the booker right then and there.
Oh, dear God.
I don't know. I think Scarlett Bordeaux is a little too old for him.
I think Dan Schneider might have gotten fired, though, from Nickelodeon, even though Henry Danger is still running. But, you know, what the hell's with them all of a sudden replaying iCarly all of a sudden on Nickelodeon? Is iCarly coming back, or what are they doing?
No clue.
It's like they all of a sudden started saying, oh, we're going to show iCarly at 8 o'clock every night on Nickelodeon. And I'm wondering, like, are they going to do a movie or whatever?
I'm assuming it's because it's retro and the late night stuff is basically for the retro fans. So
no, it starts at 8. They were showing new episodes of some of their shows, like some of their B shows, and then they were showing Double Dare back in the summer. So I don't know what's going. I have no idea what's going on there. I'm just a little note. When I was flipping through the channels trying to find the NBA games, and I saw that, I'm like, what the hell is iCarly doing back?
Well, I assume there was probably just getting Kat back on TV in exchange to go against Andre Drummond. So
no, Kat was Ariana Grande. That's victorious. You think it's Sam Jeanette McCurdy?
Yeah, my mistake. I don't really watch these Nickelodeon shows with the sound on, so excuse me.
The weird thing is, Jeanette McCurdy looks like she could be the lost daughter of Tracy Lords.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that to you a long time ago, typing that out. But I mean, to all our people watching, go do me a favor. Go look at a picture of Tracy Lords, and then go look at a picture of Jeanette McCurdy. I swear, Tracy Lords.
It's not a nude photo of Tracy Lords.
Not a nude photo. Not a nude photo. I'm talking about like a normal photo of her today, right now. Go look at a photo of Tracy Lords right now, and then go look at a photo of Jeanette McCurdy right now. I swear, Tracy Lords looks like she could legit be Jeanette McCurdy's mother.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Whacked Out Wrestling. Telling people to watch Tracy Lords videos since 2008.
Oh no. Funny thing is, I was watching Married to Children, and an episode where Al Bundy went to the dentist came on and had Tracy Lords as like nurse, and basically had Joe Flaherty of SCTV fame playing the dentist, making out with Tracy Lords before going to Al doing his teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Now, SCTV, that was a badass show. Eugene Levy, John Candy, Joe Flaherty, Rick Moranis, Dave Thomas.
Yep. That was surprising.
Catherine O'Hara, Martin Short, I think, was on there.
Yeah, he was the only one to go from.
We're forgetting about
Saturday Night Live, or the only one to go.
Did Lorne Michaels do SCTV? I know he did Kids in the Hall and Saturday Night Live. Did he do SCTV as well?
I'm not 100% sure. John?
I don't believe so, no.
There's someone else we're forgetting about that was on SCTV. I think it was a female.
Andrea Martin?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's her, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to say, I meant Harold Ramis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That was a male call.
I had a very good cast on it, and it was viable since Second City was one of the core things of improv. So,
but while we're on tangent land, I mean, do you think a McKenzie Brothers gimmick could work for 80s WWF?
Absolutely.
Who would they have gotten to be them? Would the Rougeaus repackaged?
Search your feelings. You know this to be true. It would have been Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart.
Oh my God. Oh my God. As if Bret Hart did not have enough aggravation refusing the cowboy Bret Hart gimmick.
Yeah. Search your feelings. It absolutely would have been two of the Hart brothers. So.
Neidhart wasn't a Hart brother, but
he was a brother-in-law of the Harts. So
Right.
I had a perfectly good idea for Owen that I talked about off the air not too long ago and have written about, but that'll be for another time.
Yep. Well, we're on the tangent, so it can go here as well. So
okay, dig. Fans, people out there on the internet, I had, you could take this as either really good or really stupid, but I will just say this right now. If my idea would have worked, Owen Hart would still be with us today. So there's that. I had an idea. I don't know how many of our fans were big into the skateboarder scene back in the 80s, but Owen Hart, when he was young, to me, always looked like he could hang out with Tony Hawk and Christian Hosoi and all the 80s skateboarders. So I had an idea, and this is from my If Joey wrote for the WWF series. Owen Hart, instead of being the Blue Blazer, I would have had him have vignettes with him hanging out and skateboarding with Christian Hosoi and Tony Hawk, and they would have been skating around the scenes of LA, and Owen would have gotten a name change. Of course, he wouldn't be Owen Hart. The closest to a name I thought of for him was Scooter Skiles, and I actually thought of what his finisher would be. It would be called the Radical Thrash, which would be basically picture, how Tiger Mask would do the kick, would come up to the ring and, come up the turnbuckles and do a kick. Well, Owen wouldn't do that. Owen would, body slam the guy and then do basically that, except do a moonsault from that. And I'd call it the Radical Thrash. And Owen would be basically... And unlike the Dynamic Dudes, Owen Hart would actually be able to skateboard. So, I mean, you got to realize something. This would have been 1988 WWF. So the Dynamic Dudes came out in 1989, if I'm not mistaken. So that would have predated years. So I had the idea of Owen having vignettes being introduced. Then Owen would come out in 80s skater gear. He'd be basically on the card. He'd be basically a low-level baby face. I had the idea he could have ran with the gimmick from like 88 to like 93, but then again, how I thought it would end, I think it would have to end earlier than 93. So basically, just imagine Owen Scooter Skiles Hart hanging out there, being, your low-card baby face. He'd get an initial push, maybe a couple matches on Saturday Night Live. Eventually, unfortunately, he'd become a jobber to the stars. And so I had this idea, okay, you're asking, okay, Joey, how are we going to get him to Owen Hart? How are we going to get him to take seriously? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here was the idea I had. On the Brother Love show, let's say Demolition, it's either one or two things. Either Demolition or Scooter Skiles are being interviewed. So with this, let's just imagine Demolition went heels and they're being interviewed and they're talking smack. So Scooter Skiles comes out and says, I can get a tag partner and beat you guys, or we could go with Skiles being interviewed by Brother Love. Demolition comes out to bully him. Doesn't matter either way. So anyway, here comes Brutus the Barber Beefcake saying, I'll be your partner, leading up to next week on a match of superstars where, for some reason or another, maybe because his gimmick would have been stale by then, Skiles turns heel, hits Brutus Beefcake with a skateboard, walks away, Demolition wins. So then I had the idea of then all of a sudden Owen Hart would go from dressing like a skater to all of a sudden he'd be looking like he would be looking like a white guy that likes rap from the early 90s. I could see him wearing like NWA t-shirts, not the wrestling promotion, but the other NWA, or even Naughty by Nature t-shirts if it's around 91. Have him, instead of doing the Radical Thrash, this is where he would start using the sharpshooter, except they would call it that submission hold for the longest time until, they finally name it the sharpshooter. Have him in a feud for a brief while with Brutus Beefcake, then would lead up to either a pay-per-view or a Saturday night's main event, Brutus Beefcake versus Scooter Skiles. Brutus Beefcake wins, puts the sleeper hold on Scooter, cuts off that mullet he had, so Owen will have normal hair. Then the next week on Superstars, he could talk about how he is really the brother of Bret Hart, and he was once upon a time the top junior heavyweight in Japan, saying, "My name's Owen Hart." and now I'm serious. So, and then you go from there. Now,
honestly, if you're doing that as the concept, would just be easier to just say, if you're trying to change Styles to Owen Hart, you just have to simply say, instead of that one, you have something like Demolition shows up and they beat the crap out of him and they keep doing it and he's looking for a partner. And then Bret Hart says, wait a minute, that's my baby brother, and vows revenge, and then you go with it.
Okay, that's a better idea than that was a better idea than Beefcake. I was just trying to think of a way to make Skiles more serious, but that was the idea I came up with. See, I've had this idea since like 2000. Mm-hmm. You know, like when Owen was dead for a year, thinking how could we have saved him, and then shit, you could have even brought him back to the Scooter Skiles gimmick in '99 because that's when the X Games was getting hot and popular, and Tony Hawk did his 900. What you could have did is just had him. That thing on this, you could have had him. Okay, let's say he injured Dan Severn. Everything's going about. He does that interview like, I've been doing this 14 years. I'm done. Instead of next week, he's the Blue Blazer jumping Steve Blackman. Have him be Scooter Skiles again, hit Blackman with a skateboard, run away. Then you could have him trying to find Tony Hawk. And I remember the rumor being about the Blue Blazer was that it was going to be played off as Owen went insane. Now dig this. Instead of that, have the storyline being Owen, because of hurting Dan Severn and everything, now is having a midlife crisis or an identity crisis. And he's trying to and you could even like have instead of him attacking Steve Blackman, you could have a vignette where Martha opens the door and Owen's watching old footage and he sees himself as Scooter Skiles, and you could just see him watching that. Then the door closes, you see him watching that, watching his vignettes. Then you can see him, you could pan to the side of his little room and you can see the skateboard and you can see Owen looking at it, going, just putting his hand on his face, on his chin, like the thinker. And anyway, then...
Well, the big problem...
Well, let me finish.
Would also be the fact that if it's right after Tony Hawk did the 900, there's the risk that Vince Russo, in all his intelligence, says, oh yeah, Owen, let's have you do a big trick off of the Titantron.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the only way you could have Owen die again, is if they either did that or they spoofed Goof Troop, the episode where stupid Pete fucking built the obnoxiously big ramp, and then the skater dude's like, whoa, no way, dude. But in my idea, it wouldn't be played off like that. It'd be played off as Owen would come back the next week as Scooter Skiles, attack Blackman with a skateboard. You'd have him basically having like a midlife identity crisis. You'd even have vignettes with him going to try to find Tony Hawk and believing that his stuff was real. And basically it would be played off similar to how Mr. Perfect came back. And instead of, he was perfect at everything, they were showing Mr. Perfect when he came back in the early 2000s WWF, he was cheating. You could have Owen trying to go find Tony Hawk and talk to him, and Tony Hawk being, dude, you didn't really do those moves in the vignettes, right? Or, if you could either play him off as a comedy dude, or you could even, who knows, maybe Owen had legit skater skills and, have him actually you could actually have babyface Owen Hart, like fighting himself again and trying to be that again, leading up to like a story where it's like, okay, he doesn't really have to be this anymore. He'd find himself again, babyface Owen Hart, redeems himself, he goes back to being Owen Hart, fires Owen and wins the title, wins the title as a face. So it could have went either way.
It's the way that you can get him to retire and have those ones, because as it was, he'd be a skater boy. You said, see you later, boy. He wasn't.
Oh, no. No, I mean, you could have, and you know what, to tie along with this, I mean, Owen was supposedly wanting to retire soon before his death, have him find himself as Owen Hart again, win the belt, and retire right there as champ.
Yeah.
Who bitches and complains? And people, you still have Owen Hart alive today. So out there in internet land, who would bitch and complain about this?
Jim Neidhart in a rubber mask.
Cute. Okay, I walked into that, but yeah, I just honestly, I always seen like young Owen Hart and how he looked. I always thought he looked like a skater dude, and I thought if the guy had some skateboarding ability, it could fly. But yeah, I love your idea. I love your idea about, you know, Bret Hart coming to him, and that's how we changed it to Owen Hart better. So forget what I said about Brutus Beefcake and Demolition. I like your idea much better.
Yeah, because usually if you're trying to make someone serious and trying to get back to that one, it's easier to just have, wait a second, have someone attack them and have the person say, wait a minute, this is my relative. I'm vowing revenge.
Yeah, that sounds like, you know, and how you put it like that, it reminds me of the Garvins, even though, yeah, it reminds me of the Garvins in NWA during that time. Jimmy and Ronnie.
Yep.
Nice call.
Mm-hmm. But yes, it does work on those ones with this comedy gimmick, which was suddenly turned where it doesn't really seem to click as an opposing side of the disposition. Which brings us to Elias turning face on Raw.
That was funny.
Honestly, I will say that, as I said earlier, I was not shocked by Dean Ambrose turning heel on Seth Rollins. I was absolutely shocked by Elias turning face on Raw. There is no fathomable way that Elias could be a good guy. Just none.
How was he in NXT as a face?
He wasn't a face in NXT.
I thought he was. I thought he turned face in NXT for a while and was doing songs to celebrate faces.
Nope. He was basically, they tried to start him as a without a gimmick on this one, but the crowd hated him so much he was a heel pretty much immediately in NXT.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm just not. I'm not ready for something like, "Hey everybody, this town's really great. Who wants to walk with Elias? I'm gonna play y'all a song. Yeah, this town is awesome. This town is really great. This opponent guy really sucks."
What would be funny is if he's saying Old MacDonald had a farm out of the blue.
Yep.
I'm gonna sing a song. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Yes. Unless it turns out that Elias has the same sense of humor as Joe Hendry does in his parody songs, this is not going to be good at all.
Maybe that's what they'll do. They'll make him the WWE's version of Joe Hendry.
Yep. It's possible, so.
Yeah.
But would be WWE's equivalent to Grado then.
James Ellsworth.
I could see that, yeah.
But then again, Ellsworth's not a fat ass.
Yeah, but Ellsworth is also a goofy guy who you know isn't very good at wrestling. And
Grado's actually decent. He's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he's supposed to be the joke guy on it, so right. Ellsworth works there on it. And just like
a nice touch on how they. Sorry to cut you off, Tommy. I was just gonna say, just thinking about this. By the way, that was a nice touch on how they got Grado and Hendry away from Katrina.
Yeah.
But so go ahead.
So it would work on this one since Katrina would be the WWE version would be Carmella as also someone who's allied with Grado, but looking at everybody else on it because she knows that he's not man enough for her.
Yeah, I was thinking about Katarina. I was thinking when this angle ended, I thought for sure she turned back to winner, but no, she's just generic Katarina. Maybe the winner turn's coming soon enough, though.
I don't know, because I think that Impact's women's division, if you have Allie and Rosemary, you don't really need time-traveling lesbian vampire drug pusher for it, especially since the beautiful people aren't there.
Yeah, and I mean, we got that kind of gimmick. Okay, it could be overkill considering you got Sue Young there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think that Winter really works on that in this era for him.
Yeah, good point. So, what about SmackDown? Let's talk about SmackDown.
What happened on SmackDown, Joan?
Oh,
what happened?
Well, I think that was the No, that wasn't the 1000th episode because 1000th episode was last week.
All I remember is
Big Show versus Kofi going to a no contest. The Usos defeated Styles and Bryan.
And they had an interesting and Danielson was passive aggressive, sarcastic, like he likes to be in interviews towards Styles about, oh, did you cost the match? No, just typical Danielson sarcastic, passive aggressive humor. Randy Orton beat Jeff Hardy in the main event. Shane McMahon came out to hype up SmackDown. And an interesting calling back to the show earlier, it was interesting how, oh, the tournament's going on. Who's the best in the world is? People started a CM Punk chant, and he's like, oh, I don't think he's in it.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown was pretty much just it was just basically a boring show.
Yeah,
Miz,
that's really the
Miz interviewed Ray and Ray beat him. That was stupid because Miz was talking about, oh, it's so 90s that you're trying to come back being the underdog. No one likes the spunky underdog anymore. People like larger than life characters like me. You know what? That's a good promo, but with the Miz, come on, man. The person that should, when you're thinking about something like that, a person that should become that promo toward Ray would be like a Strowman or, if you want to have a mid-carder it, Jinder Mahal, but they're both on Raw. So, I mean, I just thought that larger-than-life comment by The Miz was stupid, but I'm glad The Miz got his ass kicked by Ray, so it worked out.
And that's really the problem on it because, again, this week of wrestling was very hard to do because the Roman announcement had a shadow over everything on it. And it was the go-home week for Evolution, which is the first women's pay-per-view on it. But there wasn't anything that much that they did for the women on it.
Well, they did hype up some of it on Raw, and they hyped up some of it on SmackDown, but not that much.
They had
the Rousey Bella signing.
Yeah.
On Raw.
They had a confrontation on SmackDown between Charlotte and Becky Lynch, where Becky Lynch apparently committed the ultimate sin of interrupting Charlotte at the Performance Center.
Yeah. And it's even worse on this one because with the spoilers on this one, you also had Rhea Ripley attacking Becky Lynch in an interview afterwards. And given how one of the women on NXT UK in the Mae Young Classic, so...
Okay. Who attacked her?
Well, Rhea Ripley of Mae Young Classic in NXT UK attacked Becky Lynch on Twitter, and Becky attacked her on Twitter on it. And given how SmackDown works, that means there'll be a match between them on very soon. So,
yeah. So I guess she'll be debuting, and I wonder how many views Evolution's going to get. Do you guys see it being a big sell, or do you see it sucking bad?
Honestly, like I said on it, I think it should do well because people basically want the women's Evolution to succeed really badly. They want serious women's wrestling. They want more things like this. And there's people who are complaining about the women's match and being all women's when there's no all men's match except for the Saudi Arabian match.
Oh my God, it just hit me.
What hit?
The Riot Squad, the Powerpuff Girls. Think about it.
Okay. I can sort of see that.
Which one is which, though?
Liz is Bubbles.
Ruby, of course, would have to be Blossom. I mean, she's the leader of the...
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't... Well, I mean, if you go by hair, Sarah Logan would have to be Blossom, and Ruby Riott would have to be Buttercup.
Buttercup. I don't think either one of them liked gay meat, so...
Yeah, so I don't know who Professor Utonium would be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck it. Let's make Cena Professor
Dr. Zahorian?
Yep.
Make Cena Professor Utorium, because why not?
Yep.
What, Roach?
I said George Zahorian.
Oh, I thought you said something before that. I thought you went oh, God.
No, Oh no, George Zahorian was my idea for Professor Utonium.
Yeah, the steroid guy. Is he still in prison though?
I don't think so. And I mean, it wasn't life imprisonment, so.
Or is he dead?
Probably.
Ooh. Okay. So it just that just hit me. Like I was just thinking about the Powerpuff Girls, and then I thought the Riot Squad, and I was just thinking how funny it would be. Sorry to cut you off there.
No problem. But really, I think that the problem is that everybody wants Evolution to succeed, just to have more matches like this, to have a future all-women's show, and all that stuff. And
Right.
of course, there are some people who are saying, I don't want this this show to succeed because it's women's in my wrestling. To those people, I say, you are a homosexual. You enjoy having sex with men. Please learn to enjoy this and accept this part of your personality. If you don't want to see a show filled with gorgeous women in scantily clad clothing grappling each other, you like dick. There's no nice way to put that.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, I don't mind watching women's wrestling, but a lot of the women's wrestlers in WWE to me aren't that good. I think Impact does women's wrestling better.
Mm-hmm. Well, Impact does do women's wrestling better, but
I mean, it's not.
Traditionally, Impact had the first choice of the top women on the indie scene, but right now it seems like WWE has the first choice of women on the indie scene, and Impact has the second choice. So there's
okay. For example, like the Bellas, I always thought were overrated.
Yeah, and the Bellas are definitely overrated on that one, but I
just don't like
the era of the women's wrestling. If you
I just don't like how some people. Sorry,
but if you had think of it where the Bellas were from that lost era between Trish and Lita and between the NXT women. But if you've got to assume that if the Bella Twins came up from the Performance Center today, maybe they'd have a little bit more time to learn how to wrestle.
Right.
Maybe they'd have a little bit more time to learn how to develop a character. Maybe they'd end up getting more skills and be more well-rounded as things than just being really, really hot. And suddenly you have the Bellas become the Iconics.
To be fair, I mean, that lost era, Fit Finlay was training him, and he really did turn chicken shit into chicken salad. So let's be fair there.
Yeah. But there was the 2002 to 2006 era where Fit Finlay was training. Then there was the Diva Search era, and then there's been this era.
I just think I just don't like. I mean, I don't like how it seems like some people get really pissed if you criticize the women's division or the women's revolution. There's a lot of people that, criticize it for being not that good or being overrated, and everyone likes to turn around and say, "Oh, you're a chauvinist." It's like, no, it's like, no, it's not your chauvinist. You just don't like it. But I mean, I don't.
Which is not to say that there aren't people who do. I'm sure that there are people who like actually are chauvinists, and that's why they do it. And what happens is the people who don't want to hear anything bad, like, automatically seek out the worst among the critics,
right,
so that they can basically
make them the whipping boy.
Yeah. Like and on to the back to the Zahorian thing real quick. Apparently, at least about 3 years ago, he was practicing urology in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So he may still be doing that now, for all I know.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I mean, I like watching some women's wrestling. I just don't think the WWE's women are that good where it's called a revolution. I mean, I think they have potential to get better. I think we're seeing the beginning, but I just think it just feels too accelerated at this point, if that makes sense.
Well, are you suggesting that WWE is overhyping something?
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're the kind of organization that would do that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But seriously, the big problem is that if you look at these things for it, compare the WWE's women's evolution to things like the Ghostbusters reboot or the new Star Wars trilogy, and there's a world of difference because with those things, maybe there were people who didn't like the fact that it was insisted on, and it was like you have to be ready for it, and if you're not ready, fuck you on these things like they had for it. But by contrast, even if the women aren't totally at the same level that the men are at, and that'll probably never happen because women's bodies just do different things on it. Women have more flexibility and speed, men have more power, and so they'll never be truly equal in the ring.
I, for one, personally would love to see the women of the WWE and even Impact study more All Japan women's wrestling of the 80s.
Well, that's pretty obvious. I mean, Sasha Banks studies All Japan's women's wrestling very well, and Akira Hokuto is one of her favorites, so it's not like they don't do that already. So, but it is the difference between the WWE Women's Revolution and Ghostbusters or the new Star Wars trilogy. The fans are absolutely ready for it. And that's the real big difference between the two. Where the fans weren't ready for an all-women's reboot for a lot of movies on it, the fans have been saying, we want this, give this to us for a long time. And so that can really accept a lot of differences or growing pains on it because the fans have spoken and they said, we want this.
Yeah, so that's probably gonna mean that's pretty much gonna mean it's gonna be better received by default.
Yeah, because even if there isn't some skills on it, and there's been a lot of good women's matches since then on it in the WWE, so they're fans, but the fans basically want this to succeed, and because they want it to succeed, it'll succeed better.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm. And even then, it goes to the same thing. If you want it to succeed, then you're getting a chance to prove you want it to succeed. If you don't want it to succeed, you're seeing gorgeous women pretending to fight. Do you really want more handsome male bodybuilders oiled up in things, grappling each other and holding each other, preferably with Brett Favre and a bottle of Thousand Island dressing?
But also, I don't know if you heard about this, Joey. I told Tom this before the show, but Pierre Ouellet is planning. He's apparently hoping to come back to WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who doesn't recognize that name, he was also Jean-Pierre Lafitte in 90s WWF.
And keep in mind that if you do recognize this name, there is also a thing to be mentioned that if it is Jean-Pierre Lafitte or those ones, that John and Joey are still learning the indie scene on it. And people who know the indie scene in 2018 would know, fuck yes, fuck yes, fuck yes. PCO has been one of the hottest stars on the indie scene all year.
Yeah, what did I miss? I was gone for a minute. I kind of hiccuped.
It was about Carl Ouellet wanting to go back to the WWE.
I would love that. I would 100% love that. I mean, he's been doing great on the indie scene, doing a comeback. I mean, hell, he's one of those guys that the older he gets, the better he gets.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, the only thing is how many people can chop him till his chest fucking turns black. Like they do, like Walter could, so...
Roderick Strong?
Mm-hmm.
Roderick Strong?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Daniel Bryan?
Mm-hmm.
Bryan Danielson? How about Samoa Joe? Samoa Joe versus Pierre Carl Ouellet would be sweet.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Did that happen in the Indies? I swear I remember hearing...
I don't think it was memorable if it happened on it because PCO didn't really catch fire until this year, so.
Yeah, but I could have sworn Joe fought him in Montreal like last decade sometime.
It might have been, but it was probably forgettable, so. That would probably be in the level of Kamala versus Bryan Danielson in 2006, so.
How was that match?
It was exactly what you'd expect Kamala and Bryan Danielson to fight as.
Okay, fair enough.
But
yeah.
But back to the Evolution for the match previews for it. You have the main event would be Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella.
Ronda will win that.
Well, it's kind of hard that they turned it into this do-nothing bitch thing and just catty women stuff on it because...
We make of what Ronda did in the UFC with Miesha Tate and all the ring card girls.
Yeah, but honestly, you didn't need that stuff. All you needed to do is that Mitsuharu Misawa came down from heaven in Valhalla and granted Nikki Bella the art of the forearm.
Quit. You quit this bullshit.
Hey, you can't deny that Nikki Bella does at least throw a great forearm, and that plays well into this one because Ronda.
I hope one day I get the privilege to go to a WWE event, and I hope on that day I get food poisoning. And I hope I get food poisoning to the point when the Bellas come out, I just decide right then and there to just throw up right in their faces.
Oh, come now. You can look, but you can't touch. I
would throw up. I'd be like, bleh!
But yes, that probably seems like Ronda's going to win. But again, it just boils down to the same problem where Ronda has been getting good matches because they realized no woman has a prayer against Ronda Rousey on the roster. So they put her against people who every fan would think they absolutely would put this woman over her. They're that stupid.
So you're thinking Nikki Bella's going to win?
I'm thinking that they think that you think that Nikki Bella will win. And because you think that they think that you think that Nikki Bella will win, that means that when Ronda wins, it has some skill to it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so we found out
so it'll be an upset, basically, is what you said.
Yeah.
So we found out basically Medusa Michelli, aka Alundra Blaze, is going to be in that Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
sweet.
the Battle Royal, we have the full announcement as of right now should be Tamina, the Iconics, Ember Moon, Alicia Fox, though she may be a replacement for Alexa Bliss if the rumors of Alexa having a concussion are true, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Asuka, the Mandy Rose.
Alexa Bliss is in the tag match, so I don't think she'd be in the Battle Royale either.
No, but if Alexa Bliss can't go in the tag match, Alicia Fox will be a replacement.
Okay.
Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Carmella, Lana, Naomi, Maria, and Zelina Vega. And for your Legends contingent, you have Tori Wilson, Michelle McCool, Alundra Blaze, Ivory, Kelly Kelly, and Molly Holly.
Kelly, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Who got winning that?
Honestly, I don't know because I'm thinking the winner's going to come from SmackDown because
come on, you forgot the one big they forgot the one biggest legend of them all as far as women that should be in the Battle Royale. They forgot
the biggest... Vega is not a woman.
No, Hervina.
I think they have James Ellsworth to be the man who shows up and eats a lot of finishers, so.
Hervina's gonna come back and win it. No, but seriously, I'm gonna go dark horse and pick Zelina Vega to win.
Yeah. I'm thinking it depends on who wins the Charlotte Flair Becky Lynch match. If Becky Lynch wins, I'm picking Naomi. If Charlotte Flair wins, I'm picking one of the Iconics.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Charlotte, Becky Lynch, who you think's going to win that?
Honestly, I don't know who'd win it because Becky Lynch is the hot hand right now, and they should keep going with this one and keep running it to the end zone. But at the same time, Charlotte Flair, this seems like the blow-off, and if it's the blow-off, it seems like Charlotte's going to win.
Well, then where do you go with Becky Lynch from there? That's the question.
Honestly, I don't know. That's really the
They
problem.
might have booked themselves into a corner, Tommy.
Is there a female Bray Wyatt they can have show up for some spooky things?
Is Courtney Rush / Rosemary, is her contract running out anytime soon for Impact?
I don't know.
Courtney Rush, Rosemary, the cutest woman on the indie scene wrestling right now. Bailey's the cutest one on Raw, and the cutest one on SmackDown. Let me think about this. That's a tough one. I can't,
Yeah, that's one of the things where it's not only do they get top indie women on him, but WWE happens to get women who have high BD3 scales. So,
what?
The BD3 scale of women's wrestling, which dictates the skill of a woman's wrestler, specifically saying, if when I see them in the ring, does it make my pee go? But doing, doing, doing.
But doing, doing, doing. Well, no, I mean, I don't know. They just look cute to me. I mean, I don't think about stuff like that. I just think they're cute, like intriguing.
Yes.
No, I'm serious.
Mm-hmm. No problem. It's perfectly fine on these ones because it's basically the problem is that people think that you need to see them as sexless on these ones, but look matters in the sport. I mean, Bret Hart said the 3 scores to just judge a wrestler on are their charisma, their in-ring work, and their look. So look matters. And as long as they're willing to take women who look like people you don't want to mess with, like Nia Jax, Jazz, or Shayna Baszler in the mix, as well as they pick women who are incredibly beautiful, then there should be no problem with it.
Fans, I recommend about Shayna Baszler. Fans, I recommend you look up Joey Ryan versus Shayna Baszler intergender match. Mm-hmm. Highly recommend that match. It's hysterical.
Well, I can automatically imagine how that match goes. They start to lock up. Joey Ryan offers her the chance to grab his junk. She refuses. They keep having a match. Maybe something with his lollipop going into their mouth or something like that. Eventually, it builds to her finally grabbing his junk, dick flex, 3 count.
You forgot the part where he oils up in the beginning.
Oh yeah, forgot the oils up part. Gotta have that one.
That always cracks me up when Joey Ryan starts the match oiling himself up. I mean, you were talking earlier about like how if you don't like women, you got to be gay. You should have made a Joey Ryan joke right there.
I don't know, because Joey Ryan is beyond gay or straight. Joey Ryan is Joey Ryan. If he ever has sex with a man, it is not that he is gay. It's that he is run out of women.
I mean, my mom sometimes watches Lucha Underground with me, and she looks at Joey Ryan all the time like, oh, God, because he looks like a 70s porn star. So there's been a running gag where I call him, when Joey Ryan comes on TV, I say, hey, Mom, look, it's your hero.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but definitely it does go with that one. And I just don't know who wins this match because it seems like WWE's booked into a corner. But speaking of Shayna Baszler, you have Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane for the NXT Women's title.
Who's the champ?
Kairi Sane.
Baszler will win.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if that happens because Baszler is Rousey's friend, and there's a chance she goes up, and this is her graduation day. But Kairi Sane, it just also ties into another match for if she wins or loses. And that ties to this match exactly, that at long last the show is in, so we can finally leak what this Mae Young Classic final match is. Io Shirai versus Toni Storm.
Io Shirai.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's weird because Io Shirai is the big pick, but I'd want to see Toni Storm win, simply because the biggest problem with all the Joshi signings ever since Asuka and lesser to Kairi Sane on it is that there's this feeling from Joshi snobs that, but they can't lose the match. It's beneath them. and no matter who it is you put them up against, whether it's a woman in their first match in the Performance Center or it's the fucking Undertaker at WrestleMania or Brock Lesnar, they say, but she can't lose this match. Losing this match is beneath her.
Well, Japan had a 9-year-old beat Kenny Omega, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that 9-year-old would probably be able to beat Brock Lesnar in this one because it is a 9-year-old girl, and as these Joshi fans say, any Japanese woman is better than the very best woman outside of Japan.
When Lucha Underground was doing Dark Lotus Clan versus Pentagon, I know Io Shirai played one of them, and wasn't
Yep, Kairi Sane was another, and the third one was Mayu Iwatani, who's currently the top star in Stardom and seems likely to be signed for Mae Young Classic 3.
Who was Black Lotus and Lucha Underground? Which one of those were they?
None of them were Black Lotus. All three.
I'm sorry, not that, but the leader of it.
The leader of it, Black Lotus, was, if you remember ECW TV, Savannah, the ring announcer, that was Black Lotus.
And she turned into a wrestler?
Yeah. Well, supposedly she was a pretty good wrestler in FCW, but they decided to make her a ring announcer on the main roster.
Okay. Yeah, I knew I recognized a couple of them when I was watching that three-way match, or the three girls versus Pentagon. I knew I recognized a couple of them.
Yeah.
So it was Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and who else?
Mayu Iwatani, this current Stardom top star.
Gotcha.
In fact, all three of them were top stars in Stardom, and that's why the WWE tried to get Sane and Shirai.
Yeah, and supposedly Lucha Underground booked them on the fly because they just happened to be there.
Yeah.
Which was a nice touch.
Yep.
Yeah. Kairi was Doku. Iwatani was Yurei. And let me see who...
Say that again, Roach.
Kairi Sane was Doku.
Okay.
Mayu Iwatani was Yurei. And Io Shirai was Hitokiri, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
The weird thing about that match was Pentagon lost the second match, but they still had the third match.
Yeah.
I can't remember if the third woman beat him.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that he got his just desserts after it all anyway, so...
Yeah. Well, it's hard not to get your just desserts in that one, because even an undead skull monster ninja who breaks people's arms can still enjoy being in a place where they're rolling around on the mat with three beautiful Japanese girls.
Now I'm picturing Blue Mountain State, the movie, where they had a scene with Thad being to all these pretty ladies, spin me, spin me!
Mm-hmm.
I'm just picturing that right now, that part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we got, okay, what else is there on the card? Is that it?
No, you have allegedly an NXT UK Women's Championship match with Rhea Ripley, but they haven't guaranteed if that match will take place or not.
And I have no clue who's going to win that.
Yeah. You have Trish Stratus and Lita versus Alexa Bliss or Alicia Fox and Mickie James. So
Stratus and Lita will win.
Honestly, it's kind of weird because it depends on who it is. If it's Alicia and Mickie, Stratus and Lita should win. If it's Alexa and Mickie, Alexa should win. Because the weirdest part about this is the fact that right now there is a Legends versus the modern day viewpoint of this whole show. But the problem is that the narrative's always been that, okay, women's wrestling was terrible for years. Trish Stratus and Lita did some nice things in their time, but after that it was terrible. Then the NXT women were really good, and then Stephanie McMahon invented women. And if you're doing that, then you have to have the big one of the new school needs to destroy the old school more than ever, because you're not going to give them a rub if they beat the old school. You're just saying that the old school was as good as the new school. And if that's the case, you're saying the new school was as bad as the old school.
It's in Long Island, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I bet you we get some really lewd chants during the whole show.
I don't know. Long Island seems to be pretty calm on this one. Just because Zack Ryder is the my new haircut guy, that doesn't mean that everyone in Long Island is. So,
but it's in the Northeast. I mean, come on. I bet you we get some kind of lewd chance.
Well, it's possible, but a lot of Northeast cities are pretty markish and are willing to play along.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you have the last match of it with Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Natalya versus the Riot Squad.
I'm going to go with Banks, Bayley, and who else?
Natalya.
Natalya. I'm going to go with those three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. But yeah, it seems like it's a little weak of a card because it seems like they put too many main roster people into that Battle Royal, and they need some more cards to build up this card. I mean, how long are these matches going to be is the big question.
They might just have one of the women's matches try to go 60 minutes.
Honestly, if that's the case, it seems like it would be Charlotte versus Becky.
Yes. They will try to make that a woman's 5-star classic.
Yeah. And that would probably be the problem on this one, because even if Dave Meltzer is big fans of the Flairs and will give those ones on it, I don't think that Charlotte Flair has filleted him like Kenny Omega would. So.
And wasn't there that rumor about Charlotte Flair? One of you guys were talking about something was coming out about Charlotte being a racist.
I don't think anything's happened to that earlier on it, but apparently her ex-husband is suing her for libel from her book, and apparently claimed there was a racist tirade against a cop on this one. But, yeah. But I don't think we're going to find any proof on that one, because it's very hard to get dash cam footage from North Carolina, and if they did, it was from 10 years ago, so.
Yeah.
Plus, even if it did, it just seems like if she was a racist, she'd be a racist like Tony Lauren was a racist no, I can't possibly be a racist. I go to the hood and get airtight all the time.
Who is that guy?
One of the alt-right people.
One of the what? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never heard of him. Seems like he's a douchebag, though.
Oh, she.
Yeah.
I think.
What, Roach?
Tony Lauren, you said, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying she's a douchebag.
Yeah.
Someone should make a GoFundMe and get Chris Chan tickets to sit front row to the Evolution. I just want to see that. I just want to see that clusterfuck happen.
Honestly, I think that most of the people in this crowded Evolution will be very similar to Chris Chan, actually. So,
someone should have started a fucking GoFundMe to get him front row seats like 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because why not?
Yeah, honestly, it's hard on this one because there's some shows that you wouldn't be able to handle the smell in the place. All In is one of those shows. Evolution is one of those shows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it just seems like this will probably have a lot of people very similar to Chris Chan.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Or what would be funny is if they had Christian and the Hedgehog boys do every theme.
Mm-hmm. That I could see couldn't be worse than CFO. So
yeah, have them all be their themes done Chris Chan style.
Mm-hmm. It would be interesting at least. So
I don't know. Just, okay, just random. What can I say? I come up with some good ideas and I come up with some bad ideas. So,
well, that's all of them. But at least if you come up with ideas, that's always stuff to talk about. So,
right.
So is there anything else that really went on this week other than the biggest stuff?
I know the main event of Impact was Johnny Impact versus Phoenix.
For what?
Johnny Impact retained, and then the OGs came out and attacked Phoenix. The OGs being Kenny Kingston, Homicide, and Hernandez.
Yeah.
And Pentagon came out and ran them off.
Mm-hmm.
So is Impact with the OGs now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did they continue the storyline about Allie losing her soul?
I don't know off the top of my head, so.
Okay.
They had Allie show up in a match between Su Yung and Kiera Hogan where she saved Hogan at one point, but then ran away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What did Kevin Cross do? Oh, go. Sorry.
Oh, and next week they're gonna have title match between Tessa Blanchard and Taya, and LAX versus Matt Sydal and Ethan Page.
Okay, makes sense. Meanwhile, the other big news outside of it was that at long last, the long national nightmare is over or started. WWE has confirmed they're going to Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel.
Okay.
Yep.
Are your Red Sox up 2-0 in the World Series now?
Yes, but like I said on this one, right before the World Series, I thought, after how the Red Sox did Rhode Island dirty this year on it, it would be so appropriate if Rhode Island's old flame, the Dodgers, were the ones to take the Red Sox out.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny.
Yeah.
So you guys in Rhode Island cheered for the Dodgers back when they were Brooklyn Dodgers?
Yeah, back in the old days, the Brooklyn Dodgers were considered the Italian team, and Rhode Island has a very strong Italian population. So
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, in lighter news, Conan apparently was arguing with a flat earther on Twitter. So at least he's not a flat earther. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, but
and he busted out Eratosthenes, which, I gotta say,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah, but that's the question. Did he tell the flat earther they could toss their salad and peel their potatoes?
I'm not seeing any of that here. He did, however, say that he should not procreate.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's really the problem with flat earth stuff, where if you're going to do stuff, on the one hand, you have 500 years of proof that the earth revolves around the sun and the earth is a sphere. We've been to space and we've proven the earth is a sphere. On the other hand, but B.O.B. said that the earth is flat.
I thought it was Kyrie Irving that started that shit.
B.O.B. started it first and Kyrie Irving picked it up from B.O.B.
B.O.B.
A rapper?
Yeah. A rapper who hasn't done anything since 2009.
Oh. And it's not the worst thing he said even in that song. I'm going to say that now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he busted out some fucking. I think he denied the Holocaust there too.
Ugh.
Well, he brought up David Irving, so
yeah.
Kyrie Irving, you mean?
No, David Irving, the Holocaust denier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's really the problem on this one. We don't need Holocaust deniers except for short-sighted British fans making signs about Roman Reigns.
I hope that guy gets the shit kicked out of him that was talking shit about Roman.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to talk shit about him, say it with respect, like how he's a wank pheasant or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what a wank pheasant is, but I assume it's just respectful there.
Wank pheasant?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a bird that likes jerking off.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go to England someday. I really do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and apparently, if you're on Netflix, I believe tomorrow, or I guess now later today, since it's already the 26th, I believe is when season 2 of Castlevania drops.
Yeah.
Cool.
And also for wrestling fans on this one, it's been announced that the first 2 seasons of Lucha Underground are gone November 15th. So
Oh, and they're not even going to put season 3 up?
Nope.
Why are they taking them off Netflix?
No clue.
Doesn't Stranger Things, the 3rd season, drop like in a few days?
Possibly, I'm not sure.
I thought I heard Halloween it drops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes you wonder who's going to wind up being the next sacrifice to the gods.
Yes.
Well, we got Ultima Lucha Quattro, and Lucha Underground ended after Jake Strong won the Gift of the Gods title.
Oh, yeah.
Aerostar and Drago giving Johnny Mundo / Impact the glove that Cage had to help him fight against Montante Cueto.
Yeah.
That was a pretty cool little vignette to end the show. See?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool that we can accept that Lucha Underground had 2 Jack Swagger matches on the same show.
No, one match. It was the whole Battle Royale.
Last week was the one with the 2 Jack Swagger matches.
Okay.
Right.
And one was a Battle Royal, too, so...
I don't know. I mean, I heard that season 5, they got the funding for it, but they're trying to find another new temple, Lucha Underground is.
Yeah.
I mean, why? I mean, that temple looks good. Then why are they all of a sudden trying to find another one?
Because it's more expensive to film in Los Angeles, I'd assume, so.
Yeah.
It's
probably for the next phase of whatever Antonio Cueto's grand scheme is.
Yeah,
and I think
the funny thing is, some people believe Wrestling Society X is a prequel to Lucha Underground.
I could see that, actually. They're very similar on it, but there is stuff where season 5 will have to be different for it, and they'd have to have things that would work for it, like the following for the future of Lucha Underground.
Jack my swag.
Oh no. Yeah.
Jack my swag.
I don't think that's his gimmick in Lucha Underground, Tommy.
I don't know. There is the case where he seems like he's jacking everyone's swag, so.
Oh. Be interested to see where the Rabbit Tribe goes.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, I was gonna ask this earlier. Now I remembered what I was gonna ask when we were talking about women's wrestling. With New Japan getting popular on Access TV, do you think they'll throw their money to a Joshi promotion?
They actually are. Women of Wrestling has already been announced that they're going to have a show in 2019 on Access.
Sweet. What time?
They haven't announced a time yet, but they've already announced that Tessa Blanchard's been signed, and I think a few other indie women have been signed.
Oh, it's not a Japanese women's promotion. It's just
no, it's basically the new one by the same person who did Women of Wrestling, the old one, Glow, those ones.
Okay, so Tessa Blanchard's going to be part of it, but she sounds like a deal with Impact, so it won't tie into that.
Considering how Impact and Switch and the indie scene are so intertwined, I don't think it will.
Who else is signed with them besides Tessa?
I'd have to check that out on it, so.
Okay. I was hoping it'd be a Japanese women's promotion, but I can live with this. This looks pretty intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should have it follow New Japan. They should have it follow New Japan, like New Japan, the women's wrestling show, then the MMA show like they normally have.
We're seeing apparently okay then.
I mean, they did have some people from Lucha Underground were in the old WoW, not our WoW, the other WoW. Melissa Santos was in there. The beautiful Brenda was Kitty there.
Yeah. Didn't the beautiful Brenda wrestle in AAA?
I don't believe so. I think she was a model before going into it. So, but apparently the Women of Wrestling
sounds just like a girl. I knew her voice Brenda's voice sounds just like a girl I knew in high school who was pretty hot.
Mm-hmm. But apparently, the Women of Wrestling roster currently is Santana Garrett, who worked in the Mae Young Classic first year.
She's from Ocala. She's from
Yeah.
She's from Ocala. She's from a little bit north of me.
Mm-hmm. Lana Starr, the Jungle Girl,
Who the fuck's the Jungle Girl?
Sophia Lopez.
Who's the Jungle Girl?
Jungle Girl, I think it was a person from the earlier WoW. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Sophia Lopez, Kata Rush, Steffi Slays, Chloe Hertz, Jade, The Dagger, Riot, the Beverly Hills Babe, Amber O'Neil, Abilene Maverick, Jesse Jones, Selena Majors, The Beast.
Wow. Selena Majors is still around, huh?
The Temptress, who's Katarina, so Holidead, Samantha Smart, Chantilly Cella. I don't recognize who any of them would be off this one in their real life gimmicks, though. So
this sounds fun.
Yeah.
When in 2019 is it dropping?
I don't know off the top of my head, so
might even be like next year around this time.
Yeah.
October.
And if worse comes to worse, it should be similar to Glow instead of them. But if they get Glow with the top women's indie talent, like it looks like they will be, it should be pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like it's gonna be ill.
Mm-hmm.
Boss, fat, lit, any
Wagjacking.
What?
Wagjacking.
Wagjacking, boss, groovy.
Epic.
Marvy, Fab, far out.
Right on, Daddy-O.
Yep.
Fly.
Here. The bee's knees.
The dog's bollocks.
All right. Yes, people, we know our hip lingo.
Yes. But really,
We're
this
down.
is pretty much what the week of wrestling has been, and hopefully there'll be some more positives for next week. And we hope, again, we can't stress it enough. Fuck
cancer.
Fuck cancer and fuck it hard.
Yeah. And the one problem is that even then, fuck cancer might be too not kind to it. Cancer should be an incel. Cancer should be unfuckable. Cancer should make Chris Chan be able to look like he can get laid. So,
wow.
But until next week, this is Whacked Out Wrestling. I'm Thomas S.K. Green, and with me, Joey the Caveman and John Roche.
Late.
See you around. Wait. Were you saying wait, Joey?
No, I said late.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, see you later.
See you later.